In this episode, we're going to explore the answer to the question, Peepankišaapiikahkia Eehkwaatamenki. How was Myaamia Ribbonwork rediscovered? Many of us know that our history is full of difficult challenges like forced removals, land loss, boarding schools, and that these difficulties produced profound cultural loss in our community that included the silencing of our language and the ending of many practices. Beginning in the 1990s, as we started to revitalize our language, many community members wanted to revitalize cultural art practices like ribbon work. And through the help of grants from the United States government and the support of the Myaamia tribe of Oklahoma, our community began to do research by going into the archives and exploring the ribbon work collections that were stored all over the nation. Taking pictures, measurements, being able to handle these pieces and examine them closely aided our community immensely in beginning to learn how to make ribbon work again and teach it in our community. Every time we get to visit with historic ribbon work pieces, either in an exhibition like this or in the archive, we learn so much by looking at them closely. And these moccasins on top here were made by members of the Myaamia family, or the Peepankišaapiikahkia family, likely for another family member. And they teach us a lot about moccasin construction as well as ribbon work design. In addition to the deer skin that make up the hide of the moccasin and the wool and ribbon and beads that make up the beautiful design that you see, hidden away just under the flaps is also dyed porcupine quill work that's pretty unique and is not seen on very many pairs of Myaamia moccasins. Another thing to note about these particular moccasins is they demonstrate a common theme we find on Myaamia moccasin, which is that the outside flaps of the moccasins, the pair here, the outside flaps match. They're the same design and color pattern. But then the inside flaps are different. They match each other too, but they're different than the outside flaps. So it creates a really interesting dichotomy between the inside of the moccasin and the outside of the moccasin. These are very, very small diamonds, beautiful stitch work, and it's amazing how well the bead edging has survived, which helps produce a little bit of sparkle on the edge of the moccasin. Again, these were made by women of the Peepankišaapiikahkia family. These moccasins down here were also made by a member of the Peepankišaapiikahkia family, Scott Shoemaker, but he completed them shortly before this exhibition opened, specifically for this exhibition. And Scott's pattern that he chose is a little bit bolder and bigger and has slightly different lines than the ones you see above. And his color selection is also different. And Scott talked about how for these moccasins, he wanted to have a bigger, bolder pattern because at a distance, the smaller patterns become a lot more muddled. And so if you're going to dance in a public setting like a powwow, bigger angular diamond shapes like this will be seen better and shimmer better at a distance. Both of these moccasin sets are beautiful, and it's really wonderful to see them in a case here together, bringing together contemporary Myaamia ribbon work practices and Myaamia ribbon work practices from the 1800s. And it's extra special because they both come from the same family group, from the Peepankišaapiikahkia family. These atasema, men's leggings, are one of the most exciting pieces in this exhibition because they show us a mix between pre-contact materials and techniques with post-contact. They were likely made by women of the Godfrey family for a male relative, and as you can see, they were well worn and well loved. So walking past them at first, you might not think they're very much, but they're really an exciting pair of leggings. On the inside of each of the leggings, you can see a geometric pattern, and looking closely, you can tell that it's hide, it's deer hide, that's been cut and carefully stitched down to produce diamonds and hourglass shapes, just like you find in ribbon work. This technique would have been used prior to a time when we had trade with Europeans for silk. On the outside of the leggings, you can see the remnants of silk ribbon work, as well as along the cuffs on the bottom. As I said, these leggings were well worn and loved, so the ribbon work, which does not hold up as well as the hide, has degraded and mostly fallen away. But upon really close examination, we discovered you can still see stitch lines that show diamond patterns. And so on the outside flaps of these leggings, there were diamonds produced by ribbonwork, just like on some of the other leggings you'll see in this exhibition. So this really interesting pair of leggings combines those two forms, cut leather applique and silk ribbonwork. These akimotaya panel bags are representative of an art form of textile weaving that produces geometric forms that are also seen in ribbonwork. The bag on top is hochung and depicts 4 chingwea or thunder beings. And the bag on the bottom is Potawatomi and depicts 4 Lenapingia or underwater panthers. These bags are not Myaamia, obviously. There is a Myaamia bag that's very similar to these two, but it needed to rest for light protection and it could not be brought here for display. That bag pictured here, this Myaamia bag, comes from the family of Chingwenza, William Pakanga, and it presents more stylized representations of chingwea and Lenapingia. On the chingwea side, on the thunder being side of the bag, it depicts lines of black diamonds cut across by black rows or black stripes. And then in the negative space, you can see hourglass shapes, which are oftentimes understood to be the shape of chingwea, the thunder being. On the other side of the Pakanga bag, you can see a large elongated hexagon in the middle, representative of Lenapingia, with half diamond shapes running along the outside edge, which represent the sinuous tail of the underwater panther. At the center of that underwater panther design, you can see 3 hourglass shapes, perhaps representative of the conflict or the opposition between Lenapingia and chingwea. The process of rediscovering Myaamia ribbonwork took over 20 years and involved multiple trips into the archives. This photo here of Myaamia community member Carolyn Niles came from a trip in 2005 to the National Museum of the American Indian, specifically here at the Cultural Resources Center in Suitland, Maryland. Carolyn was a part of a trip, and I was also on this trip, that combined Myaamia youth with Myaamia elders and adults to go into the archives and explore all different kinds of Myaamia cultural objects of cultural patrimony. But we spent a lot of time looking at Myaamia ribbonwork, measuring, looking closely at the colors, doing color cards, and taking photos. So here you can see Carolyn looking closely at one single woman's legging. These trips were really important because they brought us together with these pieces. It was really powerful for our young people as well as our adults to be able to be in close proximity to these objects as well as in some cases touch them. And then the really important part was bringing this knowledge back to our community so that the team came back and they presented to the community about what they had found through photos, and also created, working with the digital workshop team at NMAI, created an online digital exhibit of these objects. And the research here has been one piece of the larger puzzle to reclaim our understanding and practice of Myaamia ribbonwork. Mishinewa for joining us on this tour of Peepankišaapiikahkia Eehkwaatamenki, the Myaamia ribbonwork exhibition. We're all really sad that our community couldn't come and see this exhibition in person, but we hope that this video tour gives you some sense of the story of these beautiful objects and of the wonderful aesthetics, the wā-wās and ākwāke, the shimmering that informs our sense of what is beautiful for Myaamia people.